Hey guys, Mark Holmes here, and as you can see, I'm here at CPAC with Demario Davis. Demario, how are you doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
Okay, so you're here at CPAC to do a speech. So what are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to talk about bail reform, a little bit of criminal justice reform, looking at pre-trial and figuring out how we can make um, our system better and less and more for the people and less about profit. We have a situation that's going on here when it comes to cash bail in our society, which is pretty much punishing people because they're poor. It's
Right.
not based on your crime, whether you're treated as if you're innocent or guilty. People are pretty much getting $50,000, $100,000 bills. They don't have the money to pay them, and they're going to jail, and they don't have a speedy trial. They're in jail 3, 5, 7 months, sometimes a year, 2 years, simply because they don't have the money to pay bills. So we're going to look at that and figure out how we can make that better.
Okay. All right, I believe somebody from CNN needs to see figures.
Awesome. So everybody's got to come talk, tell my story.
So, what was it that made you want to come to CPAC? I mean, this is a place where you don't necessarily see a lot of African Americans. It's a place that sometimes people say that maybe African Americans are not welcome. Have you felt unwelcome?
Not at all, not at all. When you look at the issues that we're facing in our society, finding solutions is going to take everybody. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you stand on, what you believe. It's almost a situation when your house is messed up, it's responsible for everybody to live there to fix it. So we all got to come together. And I'm big on collaboration and unity and finding solutions to fix the problems that plague our country.
And tell me the importance to you of criminal justice reform.
We have a huge issue in our country with mass incarceration. That's really a scary thing when you think about it, that we're most incarcerated country in the world. Because if you look at it from a situation like that and you just hear this most incarcerated country, okay, that should probably make us the scariest country, because you would think that we have the most crime. It's not the case. When you look at our system, and 40% of the people that are in jail in our country are there on pre-trial basis, meaning they have not been convicted of a crime. That's a tragedy in itself. And so we got to fix that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the beginning. When you look at the 40% that are there who haven't even been convicted, they've been there some people 7 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years. They haven't been convicted of a crime. Their life is radically transformed.
They're gonna lose their house, their kids, their job, everything.
Everything. The attachment of family, and psychologically what that does to people. And then when you think about it from the standpoint that most of people who are in jail pre-trial, the first week of being in jail is when a third of the deaths happen in jail. Also, 3/4 of the deaths that happen in jail are to people who are there on a pre-trial basis. You hear stories about in Texas where people commit suicide just because psychologically going to them, and we don't even know if they're innocent or guilty.
Right. So,
And so
it's almost like being destined to be just arrested. Would you ever run for office?
I never consider myself a politician or even an expert on these issues.
Yeah.
I just try to use my platform to come.
If you ran, would you run as a Republican or a Democrat?
I don't know, man. It just depends on the issues that I stand for, and that's what I think. It's not about being a Democrat or a Republican. It's about being a human being, and we're all different. We all have our opinions. We all have our beliefs, but together we have to find ways to make solutions.
Do you see yourself as more of a conservative, more of a progressive?
I'm just a person for the people. I've been on the ground, I've been on the bottom, and I've been on the top. And so I've been able to I'm one of the few people who've been able to see both sides. I grew up in extreme poverty, and then to be able to make it to the league and my lifestyle changed, I've been able to see the good and the bad of both worlds.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm able to speak from a place of understanding, to whom much is given, much is required also. It's like, we've been blessed because we work hard at it, we have a lot of resources, but there are people who've been dramatically oppressed in our country. And if we don't take the time to stop and use our resources to help them, who we're going to count on to do it?
Brother, I love hearing you talk, and I love being around you. Give him your name and spell it correctly and the whole deal, and a little bit in the bio, so when we use it, we can put the right stuff in the Chiron.
Okay. So together. To fix the things that are plaguing our country, it's going to take everybody: white, black, green, blue, rich, poor, single, married.
Which way? This is all the green room?
No, we're going to take you. I just didn't know if you guys...
We're following you guys.
Okay, gotcha.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, it's going to require extreme collaboration, corporations, politicians, legislators, advocates, activists, looking at these issues from the ground up. People who they are affected have to be in the room to fix these issues. And when everybody comes together, that's the only way that you're going to create solutions. And so that's just something I believe with passion, and I'm excited to work on these issues.
Well, and unfortunately, it seems like more times than not now in society it is, if I don't agree with you, it's the F you. And people no longer have conversations. And it's actually wonderful what you're doing, because they get to know you, and you get to know them, and maybe somewhere in the middle we can actually find some solutions.
What people have to be willing to do is understand, we all are individuals. We have our strong opinions and our strong belief systems. That's the way we are. To be able to respect someone else's viewpoint, even when you don't agree, is important.
Okay.
And then, being able to talk about topics.
Yeah.
Being able to talk from topics that don't necessarily offend somebody, that may not be in stark contrast, the ones that we can agree on. So let's start there and then work our way out.
Right. That's amazing. Okay. All right. So we are actually here in the green room. We've got about 45 minutes before you go on.
Raymond Arroyo.
Oh, yes,
Good
sir.
to see
Yes,
you.
sir.
We're going to be talking.
Yeah, I'm excited
Now,
about it.
this is not my. Are we on?
No.
This is not my first time seeing you. I've seen you almost every Sunday at the Dome.
Really?
Yeah, I live in New
Wow,
Orleans, and
wow.
I'm a faithful member of the Hudat
there
Nation,
you
so we're
go.
going to have a good
Who
time.
dat?
And I'm very familiar with your great work in New
Yes, sir.
Orleans and in Mississippi.
Oh, man, I'm excited.
So we're going to talk about. I want to talk about the foundation. I want to talk about criminal justice reform. We should discuss what aspects you want to get into. I know bail reform is involved too.
Yeah.
And we should talk about that.
Pay
I was
that.
going to
Now
ask
she's
you
in
what
jail for 3 months. Her grandmother, who hadn't even been convicted of the crime, because she couldn't pay bail, she had 3 months of her life was affected. Now she don't have a job. The grandbaby's got to go without. It's going to affect their lifestyle.
So as conservatives, the conservatism is this philosophy that sovereignty resides in the person. Your rights are yours. They're naturally yours. It's the role of government to defend those rights. So then you've got people who are in jail. They can't afford bail. Their liberty is being taken away. They've got no recourse because they might lack funds to make bail. That is so inconsistent with this idea that your rights, your liberty are yours to be protected by government. Now, obviously, there's some people who will be convicted and go to prison.
Right.
But that's only after a process. We can't deny people their liberty.
Exactly.
It's inconsistent with conservatism.
It's very inconsistent because, number one, in America, there's a presumption that you're innocent until proven guilty. That's number one.
Right.
Then there's a presumption that everyone has equal rights.
Yes.
You got two different arguments, two different situations right there. Everyone has equal rights. No, it's not the case. If I got $150,000 to pay this bill, I can get out. But if I don't have the $150,000 to pay the bill, I can't get out. So that's not equal. Number two is a presumption that you're innocent until proven guilty. Well, if you're innocent and haven't been convicted of a crime, why are you sitting in jail for 7, 8 months, sometimes a year? Because the system is so backed up that people go to jail and get arrested, they don't have money to pay cash bail, then they can't get a court date for 7, 8 months, sometimes to a year. It only take a week for you to psychologically be affected from being in jail and your lifestyle, to lose your job, not be tied to your family, lose your rent, lose your house. Now your whole generation, you're plunged into an entirely different situation. And it's not just affecting the person that's going to jail, it's affecting their family, it's affecting those children who have to go a week without their parent, if it's just a week, let alone 7, 8 months. The whole family loses their house. The whole family is affected when somebody loses a job. And so the system is disproportionately affecting the wealthy and the poor.
But we're all Americans. We all are deserving of equal rights. Your vote counts just as much as my vote, just as much as Dr. Berger's vote. Ezra doesn't get to vote, but one day he will.
But he's an American.
But we all get one vote. We're all equal under the law. We all have this responsibility to participate in self-government equally. So I know that you've taken heat for being here. So it's taken some courage for you to be here. I'm glad you're here. It's an important message.
It is very much so, because it takes everybody to fix it.
That's
like
right.
you say, it affects us all, and when you want to see where it affects us all, look at the taxes that we all have to pay to take care of the people who are incarcerated. $13.6 billion last year was spent on people who were in jail pre-trial. That $13.6 billion in taxes is dispersed to all of us equally.
That's also true, but we begin with what's right.
Yep, there you go.
That's where we begin. Demario, I went to law school with this guy. Oops, sorry. I went to law school with this guy.
Right over here. Nice to meet you. Yes, what's your name? Leo. Nice to meet you, Leo. Yes, sir.
Dr. Berger.
Yes, sir.
We met last night. That's right. You Giants fan, Jets fan?
Giants fan. No, I mean,
A Saints fan. Let's all be Saints fans right now.
I tell you the truth. It's been a while.
No,
It's been a while.
I mean, Eli's a Mississippi guy, so
There you go.
I can't.
I'm old enough that it's Lawrence Taylor, as they say. But yeah.
My favorite player as well. So.
Die every year. The National Cancer Institute only funds 4% to all pediatric research, only 4. And so we, when he met our congressman, he wanted that to change. And the Congressman Davis knelt down to him and said, "What do you want? Name anything." He was thinking he could go to a store and get a toy. And my son sat there with his bald head and pointed to his head and said, "I want more than 4%."
Wow.
And the congressman didn't even know the statistic, didn't even know that. And so he looked at me and I explained that they only give 4%, whereas breast cancer gets 12%, prostate cancer gets 7%, and these are people that have lived their lives.
Wow.
And after we left there, I asked my son, I said, "So what do you think about all that?" Congressman Davis offered him to come to Capitol Hill and speak.
Wow.
So we were going to do that, and so I asked my son, "What do you think?" And he said, "If they want me to be a man, they have to help me be a man."
Wow.
And I thought, how profound is that coming from an 8-year-old? And so he passed away. He couldn't make it to Capitol Hill because he deteriorated pretty quickly.
Right.
And he passed away in my arms Christmas Eve. So 2 weeks after that, we started his foundation because that's what he wanted, more research. And I've been able to work on Capitol Hill. It's only been 3 years, but I've been able to work on Capitol Hill and get some legislative done. But there's a Johnny Wade bill coming out of committee next month. And so it's worth $64 million, I think, for pediatric cancer research. So I'm going to need a lot of help in getting the word out for people to co-sponsor that so we can pass that and give these children a voice.